With all the craziness going on in the sports world, what sport is coming up next? It's MLS. How can you forget about the LA Galaxy and LAFC? What's coming up this season? Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. Hope you guys didn't miss us too much over on Sideline Sports Podcast after having that 1 week having it off. I'm Alex Nabeca from Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of all of your SoCal sports news. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. And with me today is a very good friend of mine. He's a partner of mine as well. We do a little bit of play-by-play on the side for the National Independent Soccer Association. This is an up-and-coming soccer league that will have some teams near you. He goes by the name of Simon Allen, a.k.a. the Dalai Lama of soccer. Simon, how you doing today? And as always, it's always a good time having you on, man.
Thank you. Alex, thank you. You're the only person in the world that will get me to do a Zoom show, man. That's like, you're the only person. Just a pleasure to be here on Sideline Sports. Yes, we are, play-by-play announcers for NISA. Look for us. But what just so happy to be here, Alex, and talking to you. I haven't seen you forever. So that's, that alone got me, awake, out of bed, and in front of the camera.
Right. I know. I was so excited to have you onto the show the second that I saw MLS was coming back with their season. Yep. And I was like, there's nobody better than having the Dalai Lama himself. I mean, we can't have anybody better. And of course, as you and I are both very excited, NISA, they're going to be coming out with their season. But before we get started with the business with the Galaxy and LAFC, this episode was brought to you by Manscaped. Flowers are blooming, the grass is growing, and it's time to chop the weeds. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped. You can trim your holes safely and effectively. I'm talking about the ball trimmers. Manscaped, the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming, have an exclusive offer for all of my listeners, subscribers, viewers. Use my promo code SIDELINE20 to get yourself 20% off and free shipping. You get them both. It's going to be on us. 20% off and free shipping to get yourself anything you guys need. Join the other 2 million men worldwide who are trusting Manscaped. They are here to make sure you are trimmed and smelling nice. After all, it's time for some spring cleaning. And if you guys haven't seen the live unboxing on my Instagram or on my Twitter, I'll make sure to put those handles down in the description below because we got this. This is the Weed Whacker. It is an electric ear and nose trimmer. So you guys can check out the packaging. This is top notch. You're paying for the quality. You're paying for the good stuff. And as soon as you hold this thing feels legit. Sounds legit as well. So make sure to get yourself one of these or any grooming necessities you guys have. It's Sideline20 on manscaped.com to get yourself 20% off plus free shipping because after all, first impressions matter the most. So Simon, let's talk about it. We've got so much to talk about. Let's first start off with LA Galaxy. I mean, despite them finishing up above 500, as far as the standings in that very talented Western Conference, they finished up on the south side of the conference, something that, it was very tough to experience as a Galaxy fan. But going into this season, what are you expecting from this team? How are they going to overcome a very struggling year? Something that it's not like the Galaxy at all.
Well, last year was a little bit different. I mean, it's just a wacky year for sports in general, right? And LA Galaxy, I'm kind of thinking that it was kind of fortunate for them that there was just so much wackiness going on with the rest of Major League Soccer. Last year, they lost 12 matches, tied 4 of them, and I think won only 6. They got rid of their manager, which I thought was a bold move, only because there was a lot of rumblings going on within sort of the locker rooms of the LA Galaxy. So this year, going to 2021, brand new manager, Greg Vanney, who did a really good job coaching at Toronto FC, did really, really well, knew how to sort of conduct a team, knew how to be a man manager. So he's in charge right now, Alex. And I think the management across Major League Soccer is going to be vital this year, because I just don't see, a standout team of, let's say, superstars sort of breaking away. And I really think this year, and it's been like that for a while, in certain years, I really think that Greg Vanney is going to be the one that everyone's going to be looking at, to see how well this team does. Last year, there was a lot of, and I want to be sort of diplomatic about it, a lot of people that didn't like the idea of Chicharito being the star player, right? He's a forward, he's a Mexican national, and on paper, he's for whatever it is, on paper, he's an international. He spent his time in early on in his career in Guadalajara. He did relatively well in the Premier League with Manchester United, went to Bayern Leverkusen, and then from there kind of slipped in sort of in favor and I think in quality. And LA Galaxy to me is his last chance saloon to make it happen for himself. Now, he's the only striker, right? Only goal scorer, in the forward position that LA Galaxy have. So I'm thinking that this player is either stepping it up this season, or there's got to be someone in midfield that's really going to be tallying up the goals. So I think it's going to come down to literally 2 people for the LA Galaxy. Now we can talk about the other players, no problem. But I think it comes down to Chicharito and Greg Vanney, two people. If Greg Vanney can control his players, make them do exactly, put in the time to do the stuff they need to do, get the ball straight to Chicharito, then I think goals will happen. And it's kind of almost a given that they're going to do better than last year, Alex.
Absolutely. I really think it's going to have to be up to Chicharito to really, at the end of the day, he's got to produce. You're coming into, yes, you have produced in the Liga MX over in Mexico. He's produced overseas. And now, yes, you produce in these leagues, but now you're coming into the MLS. You have to continue on that consistency. This is still the MLS. This is the Division I of soccer here in the United States. You still have to continue to do your job. And I honestly think Chicharito is going to be in the hot seat, and I think the new manager is going to be on the hot seat. This is your first year. All eyes are going to be on you to see, hey, are you going to actually get the job done? Are you going to manage this team right? Are you going to help the Galaxy back into contention? Because they were so far south. They were not close to contending. They had 22 points in that last year. They were 8 points below.
I think Greg Vanney doesn't have anything to worry about. I think he's just one of those guys where, even if he fails this year, the management will be like, no problem. This is the beauty of Major League Soccer, is that if you're an American manager, you get a lot of time to ply your trade and sort of on-the-job training. But he doesn't need any on-the-job training. He's got his on-the-job training with Toronto. They've done very well during the off-season, Alex. They've done really well. They picked up Jonathan Bond from England. Now, Jonathan Bond, and this is what I've been saying, by the way, forever. You don't go out and you find superstars, to win matches. You go and find hardcore, first division, second division, third division players from, Europe. And they finally, I think someone might have listened, because Jonathan Bond is just a stalwart goalkeeper from Hemel Hempstead, right? Just very close to where I was. He plied his trade in the lower leagues of England. He's been with West Bromwich Albion for a long time, but hasn't been getting any games. So LA Galaxy was really lacking in that sort of first third of the park. Jonathan Bond is going to be that stalwart goalkeeper, that hardcore, tough English goalkeeper, and it's going to be head and shoulders over anyone you've probably seen in an LA Galaxy, goalkeeping kit for 3 or 4 years. They also did a really smart thing, Alex, right? They said, listen, our defense is leaking like a sieve, and it has been, right? And I still don't quite understand the sort of what they did with their center backs. And the center back pairings were pretty atrocious in some matches. But they went and got for the flanks, they got what I want to say a Chivas USA legend and a player that I absolutely admire, and that's Jorge Villafaña. Jorge Villafaña is in my opinion, the soccer embodiment of the American dream. And he's a fantastic player and did really well in Mexico. He's done really well, here in Major League Soccer. And he's back in Los Angeles, playing in the same stadium he played with Chivas USA. And Jorge Villafaña, if you don't know who he is, Alex, he literally won a spot on Chivas USA via a game show. I mean, he got a soccer job from a game show. And rather than sort of coasting, he is that American spirit. He's that sort of what people dream about. Like, if someone gives me a chance, like Rocky, give me a chance and I'll make it. He made it. He did well. He became a national team player. And I think he's going to be pivotal in the back with, and I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be controlling it more than people are giving him credit for. There's obviously American player like Daniel Steres, who's been there from last year. And O'Neal Fisher came in, I think, forgot where he came in from. O'Neal Fisher is a Jamaican international. I think he came in from Seattle. Now he's going to be playing, he came in from DC United. He's coming in. I think it's going to be a nice sort of pairing of what's going on, in the back. And if they can control the back line, if they can control how many goals they're letting in the back, obviously it's not a brainer, they'll do well, right? Even more so, I think the midfield for the LA Galaxy has done really well. They got Sam Granzier from France. Sam Granzier is actually a pretty decent player, and there's been a few matches, that I've seen him, just obviously on YouTube. And he's the kind of guy that, is a typical sort of French winger. And if he could control the ball, if he can work with Jonathan Dos Santos, then quite honestly, there's going to be balls at Chicharito's feet, and there's going to be goals scored. And just one other guy, we're talking about hardcore, old school kind of players. Let's talk about Derek Williams. He's actually a center back that I think the LA Galaxy are going to need. He came straight out of Blackburn Rovers, a Republic of Ireland international. And I think with him in the middle, regardless of who they put next to him, I think that defense for the LA Galaxy is going to be, if not 1,000 times better than last year, 100 times better than last year. And I think that's where the key will be this year.
Absolutely. The defense has to be addressed. It really does, because when you look at the stat line right now, Galaxy, 27 goals in favor. Then you look at the goals against, 46. That's a total negative 19. I think that's the first thing that needs to be addressed with the Galaxy. I mean, first of all, you got to address in creating some better center backs. You got to really rely on decreasing.
Derek Williams, Alex, Derek Williams is going to be that guy, I think. I think that's the guy that the LA Galaxy were looking for. And rather than dipping into like the college pool or finding an American player, which I think is probably going to be a mistake in this, because it's very, if you think about the U.S., even the U.S. national team, who's the U.S. national team's, center back pairing? It's very difficult. So dipping into the sort of the European market, so to speak, getting a rough and tumble sort of player from the lower leagues of England, I think it was a stroke of genius from the LA Galaxy, brass, because that's what you need, and it's happened before. They've had really sort of older European center backs in the past. Derek Williams is only 28 years old. He might have 4 or 5 years that he can apply his trade over here without any problems. I don't think it's that long, but that I think will be key. Midfield is going to be fine. And then after that, we can sort of maybe in about 3 or 4 months figure out what Chicharito is going to do. So Chicharito has 2 sets of fans right now. Fans that sort of are reminiscing about his past in Mexico and in Manchester United and saying, oh, he's fantastic. He's just going to get that purple patch. And there's another set of fans that are like, no, we knew he was bad. He's not going to do anything for us. Get rid of him. And that's just, if you just read the comments anytime he's mentioned. So he's going to have a hard job convincing that second set of fans, like, no, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to score goals, and this is where I'm going to win championships. Now, Alex, between me and you, I've had a rule like that I've followed since, I don't know, maybe 15 years when it comes to Major League Soccer, is that we will know what kind of a team, any team is in Major League Soccer after 7 matches. I call it the shaking the rust off period, 7 matches. And I think in 7 matches, we'll know if Chicharito is that guy. Is the guy that's going to essentially score goals by the bucketful, or if he isn't. And the thing that I think is going to be very telltale is that LA Galaxy, they don't have strikers, right? They don't have guys who score bucket loads of goals other than Chicharito. And with all due respect to Dunbar and all that. So if he's not scoring goals, then that midfield has to double up. Dos Santos is a Spanish player from, I think he played in Barcelona, right? Those guys have to double up on the goals. So we'll know 7 matches into it if he's going to be a bust again. What I'm thinking is he's going to have enough service to score those goals. He's the kind of guy that you just, again, give the ball to his feet, let him work. He doesn't want to create magic. He just wants to score the goals. So if they can do that, I think it'll be okay for the LA Galaxy. I think they're going to be up there. The record has to be better than last year. And I think they will contend in the playoffs.
I think the first thing is you have to contend first. You got to be up in at least the top 8 teams to really make it. But you said that test, a 7-game test. Do you think the Galaxy will pass it, or will it be a fail? And another part 2 question to that is, will we see a Chicharito have success in this season, or will we see a struggling Chicharito, which will lead to a struggling Galaxy team, or will there be other guys that are going to step into the line with him?
No. It's going to be very hard to tell that one, Alex, because it's just, I don't want to jinx the guy. I don't want to say no, right? I don't want to say no, that's not going to happen. He was a fantastic player. It's a funny story. The folks who were in charge of Chivas USA back in the day, they were looking to the Chivas Guadalajara Academy and looking at Chicharito when he was a kid, before he went off to Europe, right? And said, we want to bring this guy into Chivas USA. The general manager of Chivas USA was like, we want to get this guy. And he had so much potential then that he obviously went off to Manchester United. Now he's back, right? He's literally where he needs to be in the US, but he's about 15 years or whatever it is too late. So I don't want to, and by the way, the same general manager of Chivas USA is now the general manager of LA Galaxy, right? So he got his wish. He got Chicharito into into LA, regardless of the team. So I don't think he's going to let Chicharito fail, right? I think they're going to work around him. They're going to work for him, and he's going to do well. Could I be wrong? I've been wrong before. So I only wish him the best because, he is such a pivotal player. He's a marquee player, for Major League Soccer. We want to go ahead and attract top Mexican talent here. So a lot is riding on him. I didn't even actually say if he do well or not. So I'm skirting around the issue. So I'll just say, yeah, he'll do well. He'll do well. Good for him. He'll do well.
So I want to finish up this first half of this segment. Where do you see the Galaxy finishing up?
They're gonna. This is what I call a prediction, right? People beginning of the season, they say, "What's your prediction, Simon?" I'm like, well, first off, they haven't played 7 games yet, so they haven't shaken the rust off, so I can't. So this is my prediction, right? My prediction is that they'll be in contention in playoffs, and I'm thinking semis.
Wow. Well, at least that's going to be an improvement. I mean, considering not going to the playoffs and now actually going to the playoffs, it's a huge adjustment for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So definitely,
I mean, that's a prediction, Alex. That's not a. That's if I sat down and talked about you know, the other teams in the Western Conference, you know, I might go, okay, you know, quarterfinals, you know, but that's my prediction.
definitely much different than a prediction there, Simon. So let's go ahead and step aside. When we come back, we'll go ahead and talk about the other LA team, LAFC, who looks like they're going to have a pretty bright future going into this season. So if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of all of your SoCal sports news. We'll be right back, everybody.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Munoz, and I play for the Guatemala Women's National Team, and you're here watching Sideline Sports Podcast.
And we're back for second half edition of Sideline Sports Podcast, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. Again, I'm the host, Alex Naveja, and of course, with me today is a play-by-play broadcaster from the NISA, the National Independent Soccer Association. Look at him pointing out, giving himself a shout out right there on the Worldwide Soccer Show with Simon Allen, also known as the Dalai Lama. You guys can find him on Twitter. That's his Twitter handle, at Dalai Lama Soccer. I'll make sure to put that in the description down below so you guys can give him a follow and you guys can check out his podcast. But first half, we were talking about the Galaxy and as far as what they need to do to bring themselves back into contention. One huge thing was getting the goals in favor, get that number up, because the difference, according to last season, was at -19. So defense is number one. Got to get more goals in favor and reduce the goals against for sure for the Galaxy. But now this first half, it's all LAFC. But before we get into business with that, once again, this episode was brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure to get any of your grooming needs. Just got the Weed Whacker, and it works wonders. It is a great product. It is a legit product. Make sure to pick yourself one of these up. Pick up the perfect package with the travel case, with the boxer briefs, with the lawnmower 3.0, with the little LED light there. That's pretty bright right there. I think I flashed Simon right there. I think he lost his vision and his eyes. And of course, it comes with the deodorants, folks. Can't forget about the deodorants to always make sure you're staying fresh at all times. And remember, first impressions always matter most. So, LAFC, a much happier team than the Galaxy. Reason being, because they got to play in the playoffs. They got eliminated early. But, you know, when you're a team that goes to the playoffs, it's a sign of, hey, we had a successful season. We're going to play some extra soccer. So, but unfortunately for LAFC, they got eliminated pretty early on in the postseason. And now going into this season, there's a lot of jibber jatter talking about that they the favorite to win it all this year. I'm going to just throw you with a juggernaut of a question. Are they the favorite to win it all this year?
They're not my favorite to win it all because they were the favorite last year. And they didn't do it. And let's be honest, there's a lot of good teams out there. There's a lot of good managers out there. It's, you know, the parity in Major League Soccer is what Major League Soccer is essentially famous for, right? There's like a list every couple of sort of days on like the odds of a team winning, and LAFC is always in the top, regardless of what list you're sort of reading, Alex. Yeah, they've got a manager that has won MLS Cup, right? But so is LA Galaxy. They have a Mexican player that I think is, out of all the Mexican players in the league, probably one of the, probably the best one. Okay, they got another forward by the name of Diego Rossi that I think scored like 13 goals last season, or maybe it was 16 or 14, I forget what it was, who, if their star player isn't performing, he's a great guy to have on the pitch, right? So there's a lot of variables. I mean, they even have, I think their bench is even as good, as well. Probably one of the best benches in the league. But you take a team like Nashville, right, which no one gives credit. I think the last time I sort of read anything on Nashville was like they were 50-1 to win. But Nashville's coach, Gary Smith, won MLS Cup with a team a lot worse than, if you sort of compare, than LAFC and even his team now. He won it with a retreaded Colorado Rapids back in the day. So management does sort of account for things. Arguably, Bradley's the best manager in MLS, right? The team is really well put. Carlos Vela is probably the best player. A lot of people would say, Alex, if he gets injured, there's no one else that can play, which I sort of say, no, there's a lot of other players that can score goals. We've seen that. They've got good defense. They're always sort of, I think they have like the best 1, 2, 3 sort of goalkeeping system. I think like if one goalkeeper doesn't do well, I think the second string one is just as good as the first string one. It's a very sort of international team, much like LA, the city of LA is, and there's players in there that I think can do well. For whatever it's worth, they're going to make playoffs. Are they going to win MLS Cup? Well, can you count out New England Revolution with Bruce Arena, who's won, plenty of things in his life, right? Can you count out Portland Timbers, who have a very fantastic manager? I was never a big fan, but he's won MLS Cup, so he's done well. Philadelphia Union, with Coach Curtin, who I didn't particularly like him when he first started out, but he's been given enough time to become a good manager. We can't now, again, remember 7 matches. We can't now just go LAFC. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Yes, they'll probably go far. Their fans will definitely, cheer them on really, really well. The LAFC LA Galaxy match is going to be brilliant. I'm going to be there. But can I say that they're going to win, Alex? I don't know. No, I can't say that they're going to win. If they do, great, good for LA. If they don't, I don't think anyone's gonna be shocked. What about you, Alex? Put you on the spot.
You really did put me on the spot. I'm gonna say no too. The LAFC, they do have a squad. I love that duo of Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi. They're so deadly. It's so lethal. And in the tournament that they played against a couple of months ago, it seems like such a long time ago. It just seemed like Rossi was the headline to every win for LAFC. So if you're worried about Carlos Vela, well, guess what? You still have Diego Rossi to worry about as well. Yeah. So this team, in what you were saying, is a team full of depth. So if, like you said, the second string goalkeeper is just as great as the first one. So if you thought that you got through the first one, well, hey, guess what? You still have the second string guy. So these guys always have a plan B in whether it's the goalkeepers, whether it's in the strikers, the forwards, everybody, they always seem to have another guy. It's not just one guy to really wrap your head around. Well, no, there's another guy too. So while you're giving the attention to one guy, you have another headache.
And it's so international there. With LA Galaxy, you're thinking, and I don't want to compare them right now, but you're looking at a team where the bench is mainly sort of like these guys that they sort of put in because they couldn't find an international player to fill the spot. You look at LAFC and it's like they need a goalie. They look to they look to the Netherlands. They pick up I think Kenneth Vermeer, who started off his time at Ajax. That's not a cheesy acquisition. You know what I mean? That's a really good, pound for pound addition to your club, right? Then they're also very smart, right? LAFC, and I sort of have to ask people, Bradley Wright Phillips was an absolute beast. He's an absolute beast in this league, right? He did miracles at Red Bull, and again, look, I don't want to say he's old because there's no such thing as old. You're either good or you're bad. You're not old or young. You could be really crusty and be young and be really great and old. He's a 36-year-old player that was scoring goals last season, doing well. Great, what I hear in the locker room. And LAFC were the guys to go get him, right? So they were smart enough to go, listen, we could get 4 or 5 goals out of him. He scored 8 goals last season, okay? So at the end of the day, it's like, that's the kind of stuff that they do outside of the pitch that I think is kind of amazing. Like, oh, wow. And so when someone goes, when someone comes off the pitch, the replacement for them is really very, very good. I remember like looking at a player who I think was from Libya. And I'm like, I never heard of the guy. And when he came on, I'm like, he's going to make a few mistakes. And he came on, and after about 3 or 4 minutes, he just sort of slotted right into that position he was playing. The person that he came in for, the player that he came in for. And the name escapes me, but I think it's like Mohamed El Munir. And it's like, how do you find a player like that? How do you go and go, well, there's a guy in Libya, let's go get him. LAFC has that. It's a sort of a cosmopolitan and international team that doesn't have to worry about putting a college kid in, right, or an academy player in if someone goes down injured. And I think LA Galaxy kind of is. Both these managers are fantastic, but only Bradley is sort of considered international, you know what I mean? He's the guy that, I mean, Bradley as a coach was in charge of the U.S. national team at, I think, the highest point when the U.S. beat then world champion Spain. And I think in a proper tournament, not a friendly either. And I think he's just got such talent and such sort of know-how. Doesn't do well in England, but that doesn't matter. He does great here. That I think he might be the final factor between these two LA teams. Now, if you said which one, LAFC or LA Galaxy, it's like, well, man, you can't tell. You can't tell who's going to be in the final. You know, there's no way both of them are going to be in the final, which would be kind of cool to see if they change things around. But there's just so many other teams out there right now, I think, you know, and I think we're in a sort of a golden period of management. Jaap Stam, you know, an absolute, you know, a Dutch legend and Manchester United legend is coaching in MLS, right? Just a few months ago, Thierry Henry was coaching here. I mean, this is going to be a coaching season, and how they manage, which is kind of an old term, how they manage their team is going to be the key between just going to the playoffs and winning MLS.
And at the end of the day, that's going to differentiate you from being a good manager to being a great manager. A good manager will manage you to the promised land, which is the playoffs. But then the great manager is going to take you to the finals and, most importantly, win it. You can't just go to the final and then drop it and lose it. It's just, well, we worked so hard to get here and then drop it. You know, you can't do that. That's what makes you great. You made it all the way to the top, and then out of nowhere, you're just going to drop, you're going to fall. Like all of the efforts that you put in, it just went to waste. It's just throw it in the trash can and just dump it away. You know, just everything that happened. You could say goodbye.
Alex, just the beauty of Major League Soccer is that you could be first in the table, but you know, this is the United States, this is the playoff, this is the world of playoffs. So you could be number one in the league, and suddenly you can be bounced out by number 4 or 5 really quickly, and all your work is for nothing, really. You get a nice, you get a nice tray. Sorry, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, you want that trophy. I shouldn't have said that, but you know, email us. You know, we'll get some criticism. But you know, you can't. I mean, like to me, it's like people dismiss a lot of teams in Major League Soccer. I can't dismiss Gary Smith at Nashville. I can't dismiss Jaap Stam. I can't dismiss Bruce Arena, or even Chris Armas, you know, at New York. New York's a fantastic team, you know. So there's gonna be a few also around. I mean, how can we dismiss Seattle, who took them out last year in playoffs, right? It's a fantastic team. The coach is great, you know. They've got a fantastic group, you know, a bunch of fans out there, you know, that are gonna cheer them on no matter what. So it's very, very different, you know, a week before, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or 2 days before the season starts, I should say. What happens in the middle of the season with injuries? What happens, you know, when people are vying for, you know, playoff spots? And you can remember that LA Galaxy, I think, won MLS Cup one year, and I forget which one, and they were the last team in the playoffs. So things like that happen. In LA, we got really lucky that we got two teams, right? If you're a fan like us, if you are like me and you, and we just love football, we just love the game, we're students of the game, we can go to two different stadiums and just watch some really good football, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing both these teams really compete for the fan dollar, you know? Because it was all about LA Galaxy for a long time, and then LAFC shows up, and there was a little bit of a shift. So now who's going to take the mantle of super club, right, in LA?
So Simon, you're going to go ahead and hang on to the mic right now, because you know exactly where I'm going with in this next question. Who's going to be that LA Premier team? I mean, there was always Galaxy from the start, but then you have the big bad LAFC coming out of nowhere and just having themselves such a successful start to their campaign, to the franchise, and just what a huge team for LA. Now they're trying to come in, and Galaxy like, whoa, hey, we've been here first. Like, we got to let you know we were here first, and we're going to keep it here. But, you know, tides are definitely starting to turn now. So yeah. Who is the team now?
Okay, so I'll do this. Let me take you into a time machine, right? So when I first got to LA many years ago, you'd open up the newspaper, right? And you would see an advertisement for the Clippers, right? Okay, you see that one for the Clippers, and it would be, come see the Clippers. No, sorry. No, it didn't say that. It said, playing the Clippers this week, tickets available to see, and it would be like the Bulls, right? With Horace Grant and Michael Jordan and whatever, right? And those would be the photos of the advertisement, right? And then the following week goes, come see the Clippers, right? Play against the Detroit Pistons. And it would be, I forget who the guy was, all right?
Isaiah Thomas,
right? Yeah, she met him, so I should remember that, right? Isaiah Thomas. For years, if you were a Clippers fan, and by the way, you probably weren't, all right? Okay, you would see the advertising in the LA Times or whatever paper, come see the Clippers, and there would be no pictures of Clippers, right? It would be just whoever they were playing, right? Because the team was the Lakers, right? It was the Lake Show and whatever, right? I don't know. I'm not an expert on that one, but that's what it was. And people would tell me, yeah, well, I'm going to go see the Clippers. And I even back then I would say, why? Because tickets are cheap and I can see Jordan. And I just went, fair enough, right? So for a long time, no one cared about the Clippers. But now, you know, Alex, they're going toe-to-toe, neck and neck with the Lakers, right? So that's just LA sports in general, right? It's the same thing happened with the Dodgers and the Angels. And, you know, same thing. You know, there was a while Angels, whatever. Now it's, you know, so this has come to the soccer world very quickly. It didn't take 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 years for LAFC to become, you know, a choice for you, right? To skip away from the Galaxy and watch the LAFC. So that's the beauty of it right now. And I think that it's fun. Like, I like to see two big teams in a city. It's really the only truest derby really in soccer in America, fighting for your hard-earned dollar, right? To come and watch. And they figured out it's not hype. You know, like both these teams have figured out it's not hype. You know, you can't just get a good advertising team to get more people in here because, you know, soccer fans are, you know, they're great. They know good football when they see it. You have to get good football. You have to play good football. So the past couple of years, it's been LAFC, right? This year, who knows, right? I mean, LA Galaxy doesn't want to lose that stranglehold on, I mean, they have the history. They don't want to lose the stranglehold of the fans. So this year might be the most, you know, nail-biting, you know, tough as nails LAFC, LA Galaxy matches in history so far. So
this Saturday, MLS will be starting their season, so make sure to keep an eye out on those games that are coming up on Saturday. Don't want to miss out on it. It's going to be a full strength of games going on. I mean, we've got NBA, we've got MLB, we've got MLS, we've got hockey still going on too. Like, we've got so many sports going on. So we'll make sure to get everything up to date with Sideline Sports Podcast with all of the latest news going on. Make sure to follow us down below. You guys can go ahead and find my social media handles down in the description below, so you guys can go ahead and stay up to date with everything LA. So that's all the time we have left here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button down below. Our goal is to reach 300 subs by the end of the year. We've got some great content that's coming up for you guys down the line. So without further ado, my partner in crime with NISA, a play-by-play soccer broadcaster. He goes by the name of Simon Allen, a.k.a. the Dalai Lama of soccer, the host of the Worldwide Soccer Show himself. Simon, as always, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Alex, thank you so much. You're the only guy, I'm telling you, I'm ever going to do Zoom, a Zoom show with. This was brilliant. I had so much fun. But guess what? I can't wait to get back into the stadium to do some live commentary with you. So all your fans out there, watch out. We're going to be back soon. So check us out when we go, do live broadcasts. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure to have you on, man. And you know what? To take advantage of it, folks, you're not ever really going to see Simon in front of a Zoom camera. You guys will see him on a pitch with a mic in his hand, but maybe not like this, folks. So make sure to take advantage of it. Give it a thumbs up. I'm telling you right now, more thumbs up means better content. We'll bring folks like Simon Allen. But this episode of Sideline Sports Podcast was brought to you by Manscaped. Flowers are blooming and the grass is growing, and it's time to chop the weeds. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped, you can trim your holes safely and effectively. I'm talking about the ball trimmers. Manscaped, the global leaders in mids below the waist grooming, have an exclusive offer for all of my listeners, viewers, subscribers. Use my promo code SIDELINE20 to save yourselves 20% off plus free shipping. You get both of them. I'll go ahead and take care of your 20% off and your free shipping. Just use the promo code SIDELINE20 to join the 2 million men worldwide that are using Manscaped products like this. You guys are going to get legit products in a nice box like this. It feels so smooth, so legit. Like that, you can see how shiny it looks. And the products itself look great. I mean, the presentation is there, and you also have quality in your hands. It's not just any plastics or anything. It feels smooth, and it feels legit on the hands with the creases all over here with a nice grip. And if you guys need the nose hair trimmer, the Weed Whacker is for you. The Lawnmower 3.0, we got that for you guys as we talked about it. Sorry, Simon, I'm going to blind you one more time. Oh. There we go. That bright LED light for you, and it's such accurate shaving. So I highly recommend it. Go on manscaped.com. Use my promo code SIDELINE20 to get yourselves anything you guys need, because after all, first impressions matter the most. I'm Alex Nabeka from Sideline Sports Podcast signing off. Thank you so much for everybody to tune into this one, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of all of your SoCal sports news. Enjoy any sports going on, a ton of action going on. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you guys around in the pitch.